It's 107.7 The Bone, baby Huey, out here, day number 1 of the 2022 Aftershock Festival in Sacramento. I'm so stoked talking to Jesse from Killswitch Engage. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm doing awesome. Big fan. I've been
thank you.
super excited to talk to you. I'm trying to remember, though. Have you guys played Aftershock before?
I don't remember. I don't know. It's really hard for me to keep track of life.
Yeah.
I don't retain names. I don't retain shows. Our drummer remembers everything. He's got a little, journal. He can tell you.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. But for you, what's it mean for you to play one of these big festivals? I mean, and I ask partly because I know you love punk rock.
Yeah.
I'm sure you love. I feel like I've been staring at your face all morning. I was watching a bunch of old interviews of this morning.
Right on.
But just you talking about coming up in the hardcore punk scene. Small intimate shows.
Yeah.
How's that just different for you for playing in front of a festival where it seems like you're a little bit farther away the fans are?
It's definitely a different mindset. I think what I keep in the back of my mind is the fact that new people are being exposed to what we do. And the bottom line, too, is making sure that people have a good time. And Killswitch is one of those bands. We are passionate about what we do, but we want people to have a good time. So we usually try to make it a little more fun at festivals.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of just fun no matter what we do. But I think you just have to realize that a lot of people there just to party, drink, have fun.
Yeah.
So don't take yourself too seriously. Where if it's a headline show, we can be a little more intimate. We can say more stuff. We can kind of be a little bit more of, who we are. Where festivals is kind of just a big party.
Yeah. So how have things been going? I know you guys been on the road with Lamb of God, right, for last couple months now?
About 3.5 weeks or so, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. How's that been going for you?
It's been great, man. It's easy. Those guys are old friends, so it's comfortable. You feel welcome. There's no attitudes. There's no egos. It's just a bunch of dudes having a good time, doing their job, and no assholes. It's great.
I'm just curious, I feel like you and Randy probably really close because you're both guys who love punk rock but front more metal band.
Right.
Do you guys have that common bond or you're connected?
Yeah. We definitely have love for each other, but we're also hermit recluses that spend a lot of time hiding and sleeping and writing and so when we do see each other, it's a cool, easy interaction. He's hysterical. I admire him very much as an artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like we're hanging out all the time. But when we do see each other, we always have a conversation. And again, I love the dude. I think he's a great artist.
That's awesome. So, listen, I'm just really fascinated. I've been following you guys for so long. Obviously, God, I mean, coming up on really 20 years since you guys really blew up and you've been on the scene and stuff. For you, I'm kind of curious. I know you've been in the band now for almost about 10 years now, back in the band.
Right.
Do you still feel like the new guy, though? Or you feel like, it's been long enough?
It's been long enough, yeah, for sure. I have a unique way of looking at it, and I think if you put your ego aside, it's just realizing that Killswitch is more than just its current members. It's about everybody that was involved, past, present, even people in our crew, people we've worked with, record labels. It doesn't matter who you are. If you've contributed, it's about a legacy, and I'm proud and honored to be part of that legacy.
Yeah, no, I've been digging what you've been able to bring back to the table, back in the band. For you, how are things been different this second time around for you?
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I think when I initially first came back, it was just pure excitement, pure passion.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm older and I've been doing this for a much longer time, there is a deeper understanding for the fact that I feel fortunate to still do this. Mm-hmm. My passion's still intact.
Yeah.
But I think there's a sort of a wisdom that kicks in an older sort of, you don't know when it's going to end. You don't know how long you have left. So it's a different type of appreciation where I'm a lot more present now on stage today than I was just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The excitement is like a hyper kid versus somebody who's breathing deeply and taking in the moment. So
yeah, how are things? Because I know a couple years ago you guys had Howard come back for a song. How was that experience, or how that whole thing came together to get Howard to come back for that one song in a music video?
Yeah, it's a long process that had nothing to do with me at first. Those guys had to figure out that dynamic. And then once he came back in and came backstage at this one show, I hit it off with him.
Okay.
I had a great conversation, and I realized how much we actually have in common.
Yeah.
And I have a ton of respect for him as a vocalist and an artist. So over time, it was just a matter of this is a great idea. Why don't we just have him come guest on the song? Then after that happened, he's sang live with us first. We were on tour with Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And he was in London at the same time doing press for Light the Torch. And I was like, dude, let's get him to go on stage and sing. And it was just a no-brainer. And seeing the reaction of the fans and then watching those guys perform with me standing side stage watching it, there was magic that was happening. And we knew that we needed to do more of that. Also, just to show the fans that there's no bad blood and we're one big family.
Yeah, no, that's really cool to hear. And like I said, I've really been stoked to see you back in the band, what you've been able to bring, just the songs and albums that you guys been able to make. But I'm curious, though, listen, we know Killswitch is one of the top, if you want to call it, metalcore bands of the last, there was that huge boom, I feel like,
right.
10, 15 years ago. And some of those bands are still going today, like you guys.
Right.
I'm always kind of fascinated when there's like a big genre that like breaks through to the mainstream that everyone loves, and everything comes in waves. Genres come and go. What's popular in the mainstream sense?
Right.
So for you guys, how do you stay relevant when maybe metalcore is not as like mainstream focused as it was before? Because I remember Warped Tour, Mayhem Festival, all that stuff. It was like amazing, all these bands, and you go to Hot Topic and see all the shirt stuff. But for you guys, how do you keep going as a band and staying relevant after all that time?
I think we're fortunate. I think the fans have everything to do with that. But also, we just put out music that's genuine. Like, it's who we are. There's no stage costumes. There's no posturing. What you see is what you get with us. And I think some people are really into that. I think an audience can tell when you're being genuine about who you are and what you do. And we love it. We've got a passion for it. And I don't even see us as a metalcore band.
Yeah.
To me, it's all metal.
Yeah.
The subgenres that people deal with. And if you listen to what we're doing sonically, it's equal parts rock. There's indie rock. There's punk. There's metal. Mm-hmm. There's a touch of death metal here and there in the riffing. It kind of goes all over the place. We're not stuck in a genre, even though that's what we're known for.
Yeah.
And I think that probably helps. The metalcore by numbers formula we're actively pushing out of to just put out good music.
Yeah.
Regardless.
And that's the thing. And I'm glad you brought up like all the different genres, subgenres people create. For me, like I said, I was watching a bunch of interviews of you this morning, and I feel like, if you and I were hanging out, we'd probably be best friends because we have a lot of similar interests.
Oh, right
I saw one interview, like you went out on your first date with your brother, Bill, and you saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
It's like, I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, it was so awkward. That was such an awkward date. Yeah.
By the way, R.I.P. George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians.
Absolute legend.
Yeah.
Hero.
Did you see his documentary on HBO? Okay, dude, what'd you think? Like,
he's far beyond. I mean, I've always liked him for his commentary and what he says, but that made me appreciate him on a whole other level.
Well, it's like, okay, we're around the same age. I'm gonna be 39 next month, but like, so the George Carlin I know was more from like the 90s and early 2000s, all the HBO specials. So the second half of that documentary, that's more the George Carlin I knew.
Right.
But the first part, the early years of him, I didn't know that much about him other than the 7 dirty words. So it's amazing, a lot of his commentary and his jokes, how relevant a lot of that stuff is today. And I know you're a very like political person too. I almost wish he was alive today just to comment on all the craziness that's going on right now.
He was a visionary. He was ahead of his time. And you talk about the old stuff back when he started. For him to do what he was doing back then was incredible.
Yes.
Like way against the grain, very taboo. And he did it so smart and so eloquently that it changed the face of comedy. I think between him and Richard Pryor, they changed comedy forever. And I absolutely love that guy. Not even just as a comedian, but for what he's actually saying. The message he's telling people to like wake up.
Absolutely.
And I do wish he was still here. He would have a hell of a lot to say.
Oh my God. Like all the COVID stuff.
Oh, please.
Trump. Yep. Like, I mean, like, you and I, we have
he would pick on Biden too. He'd pick on everybody.
Absolutely.
Everybody's getting it.
All the hypocrisy, both parties.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that's what I loved about him. He was never about partisanship. He was always just like, it's a big club and you ain't in it. I love that about him. He's so right.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like I said, I know I keep referencing, your punk rock background and stuff. I'm always kind of curious. I know you're from, on the East Coast. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. We have a legendary punk scene ourselves. I'm always kind of curious. I know I saw like your Amoeba, What's in My Bag episode, Dead Kennedys, you brought out. But I'm kind of curious. What's your take, or did you really get involved or a fan of a lot of the Bay Area punk bands?
Oh, Bay Area thrash, Bay Area punk was crucial to my upbringing. Absolutely, man. I wouldn't be who I was without the Bay Area music, the Bay Area sound. But yeah, you mentioned Dead Kennedys. I'd say they're probably a cut above everybody.
Yeah.
Not just for their music, but for the way Jello was with his sarcasm. You know, being a young kid that was not into sports and didn't understand the mainstream and didn't really want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
It empowered me to go, oh, there's other freaks out there that are just like me.
Yeah.
And then their sound, you know, they were punk, but they had surf rock. They weren't bound by the laws of what people consider to be punk. It was free back then. And I've always thought about punk, you know, when they have the punk rock police, that's not punk, this is punk.
Yeah.
What is punk?
Yeah.
Punk is freedom, it's expression. And, yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about thrash music.
Yeah, yeah.
Thrash changed everything.
I know. I feel very fortunate to grow up in an area where, you know, thrash metal is huge, and you see a lot of the OG people around at shows and stuff.
Still there, still kicking.
And then even the punk bands. You know, for me, I live in the East Bay, so growing up, going to Gilman and just seeing all those. I don't know if you ever had a chance to go to Gilman or any underground.
No,
okay.
For me, like Operation Ivy is one of my favorite of all time, ever.
Yes.
And I have a ton of respect for Green Day. I mean, that's the birthplace of one of my favorite bands, Operation Ivy. So,
did you see the little mini reunion they did a couple months ago with the Interrupters? Dude, when you have a chance, it's on YouTube. It's with Tim and Jesse.
Yeah.
They do sound system with the
cool.
Interrupters. Sounds awesome.
And Interrupters are great too. And Rancid, shout out to Rancid too.
Yeah, what's up, Lars? Lars is my wrestling buddy. We go to we always go to like the same indie wrestling shows.
Nice.
We always sit next to each
other.
Yeah,
Lars is mad cool, man. I like his taste in music too. Lars is a cool guy.
He is a metalhead too. He's a big metalhead.
Yeah, but I love he's into a lot of cool oi and skinhead reggae stuff, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, no, dude, that's awesome. Jesse, like if you couldn't tell, like I said, I could talk all day, music, politics, comedy. But I will recommend, before I forget, if you have a chance, check out a documentary called Turn It Around, the story of East Bay punk. Green Day made it. Covers all the punk bands from the Gilman days.
Right on.
Op Ivy, Rancid, AFI, all that stuff. So I think you should definitely check that out. But looking ahead, you know, after Aftershock, what's next for Killswitch Engage?
So we finish up the tour with Lamb of God, then we go home and continue demoing the new record. The record is kind of the only thing I can think about right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Got a lot of writing to do, and I'm excited. It's a killer record so far.
Awesome. Jesse, like I said, I could talk all day with you, but I know you got a busy day doing a bunch of press. You got to perform later. Thank you so much for the time. And I hope next time you guys come through the Bay Area, we can do this again.
Right on, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.